have a seat, would you? Everybody?
Both of us?
All right, for those of you who don't know, my name is Barbara Prince. Thank you very much for coming to this particular breakout session. Dirk and I are going to talk a little, this is Dirk Hartman from Epicor, for those of you who don't know. We are going to talk a little bit today about some of the newer things that we've added to the IDX Tracker, some of the functionality that you may not all be familiar with. We're going to talk about some new things that we're just doing from a service perspective. And I have to tell you this. Now, I want you to know, has Mr. Gaylord, our CEO, attended any other breakout session? No. So he comes in here and he's going to make me a person.
I think I'm irritating you now. I'm going to leave. Put the pressure on her.
Please sit. So we're going to talk about a little bit of the newer functionality that we're, some of the newer products and services we're thinking of adding to the IDX family of services. We'll talk a little bit about some reporting functions that you may not all be familiar with and could be very useful to you. Dirk will talk about kind of a function that isn't particularly well known, but again, is one of those things that can be added to your IDX services that can help you manage your trading partner setup and things and ramp up. And then there are a couple of really cool things that will show you that, again, you can kind of see over my shoulder. We talked a little, or Bob talked a little bit about it this morning in the general session, how we're kind of teeny tiny URLs for reducing traffic for your iPhone. Works on my BlackBerry, doesn't work on all BlackBerries, but we'll kind of give you a little bit of update on that. And then talk about just some of the coming enhancements coming up in the fourth quarter, or what are some of the things that you as IDX users feel that you need to maybe better use the tool that you've got, what would be a useful improvement for you. So looking for that kind of feedback from you also. Now let me stand in front of my own shadow here. So, Edi Managed Services, what exactly is that? You've heard about it in a couple of different instances already in the past couple of days. When we're talking about managed services, we had a focus group the other day with some folks in talking a little bit about it. Bob mentioned it this morning in the general session. And can you hear me all right, folks? Okay, good. That's exciting. Managed services can be a lot of things. It depends on what you need it to be absolutely honest with you. Idea with it, our relationship with Epicor is offering mapping and translation services. Lots of trading partners take advantage of that day in and day out. Trading partners who may not have the expertise to write their own maps. Trading partners who may be very proficient at mapping EDI things, but not so proficient at mapping XML documents or EDIFACT documents. Trading partners who might want to just bring up a specific use. They may not have the expertise to bring up a specific set of trading partners or community. And oftentimes come to us and say, come on, idea, this is what you guys do for a living. Can you help us get through this particular project, this particular task that we need to get done? Or it's somebody who's a small user who doesn't have any translation services at all on his system, but has trading partners who he wants to deal with electronically, trading partners who are asking him to accept EDI documents. How does he get through that? So he too comes to IDEA and says, can you take my flat file and convert that to an EDI document? Can you convert EDI documents coming to me from my trading partners into either a proprietary flat file format or an agreed upon flat file format that I can take into my business system? So from a mapping and translation services perspective, we do this day in and day out. It's one of those things that we do well. Thank goodness. Other parts of the service that we're finding folks need are, again, what we talked about a little bit this morning is that piece of e-com that may be a little bit out of your sweet spot, that piece of e-commerce that, again, is not the expertise that you have on staff. Do you want to take the time to totally ramp up to add EDI, or not EDI so much, but maybe Edifact or XML expertise to your staff if you've got a trading partner adding to that document? Probably not, but we can help you manage those things. Another thing that managed services can be is a total outsourcing of an EDI department. And we're seeing that happen in some cases where you've got either, perhaps a distributor is making a move to a new ERP system. They can either go to an ERP system, again, kind of ramp up, redo all of their mapping, handle all of that trading partner setup, all that trading partner roll over to a new ERP system, or they can say this may be the opportunity for us to outsource that responsibility to somebody, again, who does this for a living. And we have those requests coming to us time after time. The thing that kind of makes me, that's very interesting to me about why I believe that we're just in a very interesting position to handle outsourcing for some of our trading partners is because that's what we do for a living, number one. That's what I did for a living for a number of years in a previous life, so I get it when somebody calls me up and says, well, how would you handle this trading partner thing? You know, who would you talk to? How do you do this testing thing? And, you know, how did you make it? Well, I did that for a living in a previous life. Tom did that for a living in a previous life. Lynn did that for a living in a previous life. So what you see is an industry or a company like IDEA who said, you know what, let's make sure that the folks on staff know what our customers do for a living also. So that kind of adds to that deep channel knowledge that we're very proud of.
Yeah, and also the fact of just knowing the context of the industry. So not like in grocery, but all the manufacturers and distributors in the industry, which is really critical.
Right. And we've actually hired recently a woman who is our EDI our managed services specialist. Did I get that right? I think that's it. And she has a lot of very deep experience in a previous managed services environment. She too gets it, and I think that that's the important thing. She gets what it means to be somebody handling somebody else's mission-critical documents for a living, and I think that that's, again, kind of a key statement. If you're going to hand over a mission-critical piece of your business to somebody else to do for you, you want to have faith that that company knows what you do for a living. We have faith, or we know what you do for a living. We've all done what you do for a living, so that's why we're trying to build on that very solid base we feel to build a managed services offering for our customers and trading partners who need help, again, kind of ramping up their services.
We've actually looked at some,
Go ahead.
we've looked at competitors who are offering managed services too. So if you're using managed services from other companies, we've actually benchmarked it and found that we have a lot of superior kind of technology, ability to display both the EDI and the flat files, ability to track things by PO numbers and things of that nature, which we don't see in competitors. That if you do have a current managed service thing that you want to look at switching it at a lower cost, then IDEA can help in that area.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on managed services? What it is, why it is, why we might be an interesting.
Do you have a tier structure?
Issues? Did I hear a comment?
Yeah, tier structure.
Ah, yes, it is tier. Thank you. I'm the guy who directs this thing. Interesting. We're developing managed services kind of a tiered structure so that for folks who come to us and say, you know what, here's what I need. I need a map written. We can do that. Or the person who comes to us and says, I've got a group of trading partners, our community, that's asking me to again implement a particular document, or it's a community that I'm not comfortable with, I haven't dealt with. Perhaps it's an Edifact type of implementation. Perhaps it's a group of smaller distributors who just want EDI documents translated to a print image or translated to a flat file. We can also do that. We can ramp that then all the way up to total outsourcing. But this, our EDI managed, I'm I'm going to get this right, our managed services specialist has that expertise. She's going to be the one who will interview clients for what's the level, the depth of help that you're needing, and kind of quotes on those tiers. So again, it's a tiered approach. It's a kind of buy the service you need approach. So you don't have to totally outsource your EDI department to us and say, oh goody. You can outsource a project. You can outsource a particular, again, community, if you will. But keep in mind, tiered and the services that you need. So it's kind of a, pay for what you eat thing. Questions, comments? Good? Okay. Here's something that I'm not sure as IDX users that lots of folks are really familiar with. And once we kind of get done with the slides, I'm going to go back and do a little bit of a demo on the IDX Tracker and show you a couple of these features, but I'm going to swap in and out at this point. But IDX users, how many folks kind of go out and use the IDX Tracker? We've got a couple here. Good, good. Manufacturers, distributors, who's manufacturer? Manufacturer, distributors, any service providers in the room? Aha. Hiding over there. There are basically two levels of tracker searches that you can do. There's the basic search, which probably everybody in the room is familiar with. There's also an advanced search function that you may not have on your version of the tracker, but can be enabled for. The advanced tracker functions just give you additional search capabilities. They give you more finite search capabilities. The thing that's interesting is you can look up documents by document number. So if you've got a PO number and you're in the advanced search function, if you know that you're looking for a particular PO number, you key that in, specify that you're looking for a PO number. I think I may have a screen on this. The cool thing that Tracker does, and this is not on my screen, this is, I have to read my own writing here, I apologize. God, I'm getting too old for this. This shows you some of the additional search functions. In addition to just looking up by a sender ID and a receiver ID, the advanced function here lets you look up by, if you just want to look for duplicate documents, if you want to look for only those documents that have been acknowledged, yes or no, or a couple, if you want to look for a specific branch number, you can do that. So that's the first one. You can also then, as I said, look for a particular document number. So if you're looking for a PO number, if you've got somebody on the phone who's saying, did you get my purchase order number? Or if you've got customer service people looking to see if a particular PO has been either sent or received. On the other side here, you can, you'll get a drop down and you can specify that you want to look for a PO number and then key that PO number into the field and look for it, search for it. The cool thing is when you, with the return on that search is not only the 850 that you were looking for, but any other document that has that purchase order number associated with it. So you'll find the PO that has been sent to you. You'll also find the 810 that you sent back. So you get the total set of documents within the date range that has that PO number or invoice number associated with it. So that I think is really a handy function.
Can I elaborate on a few things?
Sure.
Okay. So on top of that, so as she said, you get the whole life cycle of a PO number. If Home Depot calls you or Gray Bar, you can see the ASNs and all that. Also, if you go into where it says PO number, you put an asterisk there and wildcard it, and you put the document type of 8 in there. When you do a search, it'll display all the results. Will have the PO numbers and the invoice numbers down the tracker. So we've seen people that really like that because then they can see what's actually coming in. And the one where it says special number there, we can program in the IDX system to track any document type you want. So if you want to track an 820, for instance, there's a little setup code that we can just say, what's the EDI field and what you're looking for, and we can make it searchable by that special number there too. Okay.
Good point. And then notice, once you've designated that you're looking for a specific document number and given it a PO number, then that PO number also lists for all of the associated documents over here. So again, a fairly rich search feature, and one that I think is really, really handy.
How far can you go back on your search range?
Pardon me?
How far can you?
At least 90 days, probably 100.
Yeah, yeah. And you can always ask for documents beyond that. You would have to call me and ask for a search on a document or whether that. But
I've already.
yeah, I was going to say, typically, if you haven't found it in 100 days,
Yeah.
let that sleeping dog lie, right? All right, what do we have here? Here's the thing. I cannot read this for all the tea in China. For 850, what I'm demonstrating here, and this is the other very interesting feature on the advanced tracker. If you are sending a document in one format and your trading partner receives it in another, so again, when we go back to that, you're sending the EDI, they receive a flat file or vice versa. The handy thing about the advanced tracker feature is you can click and see the document in the format that it was sent and the format that it was received. And hopefully you all know that these are little hot links under the document type. So when you get that search result, if you click on EDI, for instance, excuse me, Tracker will bring up the document in the EDI format that you sent it. If you click on text here, then it'll bring up the text version as your trading partner received it. So that's very helpful if you've got somebody on the phone and they're trying to research an issue. You can kind of bring up the EDI document that you know you sent and make sure that you sent all the segments, all the elements, whatever he was looking for. And then you can also bring up the document as it was translated for your trading partner and just kind of sift through things and make sure that the translation went well. Questions, comments on that? Cool feature though. I really like Advanced Tracker. Okay. And hopefully we'll come back and demo that. I had a browser launch, so we should be able to get out. Lots of you know that you can also, again, go back, 90, 100 days on Tracker. Just do a basic search function. You get a whole lot of data on the screen. You can export that data. Hopefully you're doing that, or you know that you can do that. And you get a nice kind of limited file of all those records. And you can slice and dice, download that file, slice and dice, do whatever you want to do, and get all kinds of really rich statistics out of it. That's a wonderful thing. Some folks prefer just to say, you know what, I don't want to take the time to sift through all of those records on any kind of a monthly scale, because there could be lots of records if you've got a lot of EDI transactions flowing. But Dirk and his able staff have some really interesting, we call them on-demand reports that you can request and be enabled for, that they would email to you on a monthly basis. The two that I find most interesting from a kind of an old manufacturing perspective is there's one report called, this is a sample of your traffic by trading partner. So this gives you a very quick visual. And again, it's kind of the information that you would see on the screen, but it is a wrap-up of all the traffic that you've conducted with a trading partner. This is traffic by trading partner by document, I apologize. So what this gives you is all the documents that you've traded for this period, probably a month, with your trading partner by document. So you traded 3 810s for a total of this many characters. And again, this is characters, not kilocharacters. Keep that in mind. That's an important thing. But that's a very handy report to have.
Just to elaborate a little bit on it, when you go into Tracker, you do a search on it, you'll have a sender and receiver on it, right? Now this report is organized a little bit differently in that you have the trading partner and yourself. They're all nice column regardless of direction. So if you know about Excel and summing things up and doing pivot tables, it puts things in a nice organization Also, there's the date and month, you know, the year and the month. So if you want to accumulate these files over time and load them in a relational database, then you can have that whole history that you need to go through a whole year and analyze your trading partners. Okay, so this is a report that's done on a monthly basis. There's another really useful report we've been getting is what trading partners have not been acknowledged with a 997 in 24 hours. And that's another very popular document. So there's these documents that come about that at the end of the month help you manage what's going on and see what's going on in your trading partner community. And there's others that are more daily alerts of exceptions, like what trading partners I didn't get a 997 from. Those are some of the different reports that are available today.
And some people have, again, in your own translation software, you may have some very active reports that you run on a daily basis that help you keep track of the documents that have been acknowledged or not. If you have that, you know, you may already know what documents haven't been acknowledged yet. You may already know what documents were acknowledged with a negative act. If you don't, these are very, very, very handy reports. Back up one. This is just a sample of the trading partner, traffic by trading partner that I was telling you about. So this one just rolls up all of your traffic without a document breakdown. So if you're just interested in how many characters have you traded with a particular trading partner, this is a good report for you, or you can request it by document also.
Anybody find this reports useful? I mean, are these things that you would want to use? Maybe make a change to it? I mean, anybody would want to take something like this, use it as part of their daily EDI monitoring systems?
That's just in characters, correct? But could you get it broken down into your characters versus your film characters? If you needed that information.
Well, they're just divided by 1,000. These can be downloaded into a spreadsheet, but I guess you could look at doing another report that could be by code characters.
Okay.
Yeah, so add a column, right, yeah. But, again, kind of bringing this to your attention, there are a couple of other reports that they generate that are a little bit more specific, but as I said, the two that I find most helpful are these the total traffic by trading partner, the total traffic by trading partner by document, because that's something that really kind of gives you a good sense of who am I trading, you know, who am I really doing EDI with? You know, there's a whole lot of traffic flowing back and forth during the month, but to have that snapshot, you can kind of guess sometimes who your big trading partners are, but this gives you a pretty good visual.
On this report, can you is it one trading partner at a time, or can you do multiple ones?
This is a comprehensive report of everybody across the whole month.
So it's everybody then.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have different versions, like if you want to have a report that's just 850s, or I mean, we can take whatever's in mostly in Tracker, and we probably have a report that's only 850s, 810s, and you know, all sorts of flavors. But these are the most popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as I said, it kind of helps relieve that export all the records out of Tracker and then boil that data down. This is the already reduced version of that. So we took a quick look at this, a sample of a negative acknowledgement report. So that's a handy feature. And then, oops, I think I may have wiped it out. There's another acknowledgement report that will just show you those that are right. So here are the documents that I've said that I have not gotten a 9974 in whatever my parameters are. I think they're handy. It kind of depends on who your trading partner community is. Sometimes if you don't have that 997 back in 4 hours, you could be in some serious trouble, that kind of thing. So those parameters can be set and get the alerts. Question, comment? No? Okay. All right, we're going to let Dirk kind of show you some slick things again and talk about a couple of slick things that Bob was talking about this morning.
Did you page down this?
Pardon?
You page down on it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we've done is we've redesigned the IDX, so a special URL address will have a smaller screen that fits within your iPhones and your mobile devices. And so the idea is you get the full Android or iPhone stretch and enlarge and all that functionality that you're familiar with on the cell phones. So here's an actual example. Can you guys see it in the back? Okay. So this is how it appears on the actual screen. And there's just a very small screen that fits in there for doing a basic search, the sender, receiver, control numbers, pull down list. And the Android phones and I'm not sure about the iPhones, but they have memory on it, so you can have a pull down list. So when you put in 850, you do it once, and then the next time you do it, it'll have it part of a list, so you don't have to retype things down all the time.
And what I mentioned earlier is I was able to get this working on my BlackBerry and actually do searches. Other BlackBerry users haven't had quite the same luck, but I think we're probably still resolving those issues.
I think what it is that, on a PC, when you have a browser or some kind of settings that you normally can have blocking or blocking pop-ups, there's probably something in the cell phone. We got it working with BlackBerry and iPhone and Android, so we know it works across all these different devices. It's just a simple browser URL address, so it should work. There might be some things you have to tweak. So once you do the search, you have the calendar on the main one. This is a separate window. So you go through, it already pops up today's date. You can then click on the date you want, and then hit search. So there's just two screens. Boom, boom, and you can do your search, right? And then the result is, on the PC, there's a long column that maybe 12 columns on it, right? On this one, it's just abbreviated to like 4, so it fits nicely on a mobile app. So that's what we have. We can do trading partner lookups. We're thinking that maybe people want alerts. So any kind of suggestions you have as far as things that you'd like to see on the mobile app? Yes.
If you're searching for a trading partner, you usually have only one option, and that's your ISA ID.
Yes.
But can it be optional that down the road you can search by name or just kind of query down, like wildcard? If you're looking for a specific search, like a new trading partner, and you're trying to
Sure.
find.
And actually, when you go into projects, we'll show you that. That's our answer for doing that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any suggestions on the mobile apps?
Works on an iPad, works on smartphones.
Is the next one's projects too?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just keep clicking through. Okay, so well, they got a little bit out of sequence. This is projects. It's a new optional service on the IDX Tracker. But we listened to a little bit out of sequence on those reports we were showing you before. Do you ever use pivot tables in Excel? It's really easy to do. If you have this report, you can then launch all these nice bar graphics that you can show your managers. And then it has these totals here, so you can then, if you want to manage your programs, like say you have your top 10 distributors, your top 10 manufacturers, you can then subtotal these and do pivots, and you can see how many, over here, you can see how many documents per month for a particular manufacturer. So this Acme manufacturer had 24 810s, 4 850s, 14 855s, and 9 997s. So you can start managing your trading partners and see if you're getting all the documents with your largest trading partners, and start managing that. Okay.
Can you schedule those reports so they run monthly or?
Yes. Well, you get the monthly reports. Then you use Excel to drive these same things, but the reports can be sent to you either email or put in an FTP, and you can download them.
Okay, so and they can be scheduled to do that every month then?
Yes, and you can actually do it instead on daily too. So if you want to have daily reports, it's all just configurable.
I have your project slides.
Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Okay, well, describe it then. All right. So when you go into IDX, you have the URL addresses on there. We can add another one that's called projects. So for many of you, you might be working with several people in your company, and you're trying to keep tabs of who the contacts are, the EDI IDs are, who's doing what documents. So kind of think of it Microsoft's projects, where you can kind of manage your relationships. There's a thing called projects. What it is a table that then shows a list of your trading partners and the email addresses. So you can put in something like, let's say you're doing things with ACE. And you go, gosh, what is ACE's trading partner ID, right? You can pull down a menu that says company, and you can put just the string of ACE, and you go search, and it brings up that record that says ACE. And then you click on the EDI ID, which is hyperlink, and it launches Tracker, and you can see all the documents. Okay? Now let's say you have a trading partner where you've got to send an email to them. You have to go through a spreadsheet. Maybe your partner that's helping you with EDI, they have that spreadsheet, but you don't. But this is, you can actually put in the portal. So you bring up ACE, for instance, and it shows the email address. You click the hyperlink, and it launches the Outlook or your email. So then you can quickly send an email to your trading partners through this project. It also has things like the status of your trading partners, so whether the trading partner has been completed or you're testing with it. Okay. It also has a freeform note segment, so you can put little notes in there, like this one's in the plumbing industry, this one's in the electrical industry, and you can search, and it brings up all those records where that matches that string. Okay. Do we have that in the demo? Can you log in? Does
Yeah, but I don't know if the tracker is on that site.
that project one? Okay. So then, you can start tracking different training partners. We also have this testing where you can go into Google Docs. You can send like surveys out to a whole bunch of your training partners. It updates, like a spreadsheet. You can then load that into projects. So you can import and export out of projects. Okay? And it's all free additional kind of services that you can use. All right?
So I apologize if I didn't
okay.
get your slides in order. So a couple of other, just wrap up here, and then we'll do a quick demo on some of these tracker things. Some of the coming enhancements, we've added, I think, or at least made you aware of quite a bit of functionality that you may not have known was out there. But some of the things, and again, Epicor and Idea A talk weekly on just where are we, what's going on, what's in the queue, what do we need to be aware of. And then we also meet as a company quarterly to say what projects are important, what should we be working on, what are the things that we need to be offering to our community. Out of that has come some of the things we've already shown you. Out of that has come the need for managed services, etc. And just a few things that we're working on that are probably somewhere fourth quarter, and that I'm going to ask you, what do you need for beyond that? We know we have the need for a forgot your password. We're talking about how we're going to get that in there. We've got a couple of different avenues about why having a forgot your password is important on Tracker. What we're not sure of is what that approach is going to look like. So look for, coming soon to a Tracker near you, will be a forgot your password function. Another thing that's going to be coming, because we've had lots of folks ask us, our folks in customer service sometimes go out to Tracker and look for documents, and when they click on the EDI link and bring up that EDI document to look at, if you're not an old EDI geek like me, ESL or EDI as a second language, that may not mean much to you. So if you're the customer service person and you click on that EDI link, we're working on how to present that in a much more kind of non-geek, user-friendly format. So again, folks in customer service, perhaps folks in your accounting department would bring up an invoice and look at it and say, oh, okay, I see who this was from, I see the amount that they said, blah, 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 whatever. But it is not going to be EDI speak, and it would just be a document rendering that would make it a little bit more easy for them to view. So that's, one of the things, as we said, we're working for in the fourth quarter, and hopefully we'll bring that to you. But we think that that's just a real important addition, again, for the non-technical folks in your companies who may want to access what's going on in these electronic documents. Need to have access to what those documents look like. So that's kind of what we've got, just what's new. If I'm still click exit, sure, easy for you to say click exit, click. All right. I may have to but I do want a demo. And show you what some of these advanced tracker things look like. Because again, I think that they're really handy, and if you're used to using the old tracker, hang on, I can't talk and chew gum at the same time. Yeah. Okay. This is our test site, and I know I last loaded some documents out there on the 13th, so I'm going to take just a...
You want to do the advanced?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. You'll notice right away when I go over to advanced, those extra options just pop up on the screen for you to access. There we go. So hopefully this won't take too long. But again, the other options that you have to search by on the advanced tracker are things like, again, you want to look for documents that are the duplicates. Are you interested in what was acknowledged or what wasn't? This user-defined field that can be programmed, so you've got many more search options there. Over here, if you're going to look for a specific document number, you specify what that PO number would be and key it in, and of course that's laying over on the table, so we'll just do a song and dance while I go get that.
Yeah, so you can put a, if you put in an 850 on the document type, it'll actually display all the PO numbers there, and then you can go in and type in the particular PO number you're searching for.
Yeah. What are the chances are I keyed that number correctly? What do you think?
So they're fine.
Sometimes life is good, huh? So this is, again, I think it's just a very handy feature on the advanced tracker, because if you're looking for all the documents associated, again, within the time period that you've specified, if you want to know, did I get an 810, did I get an 855, did I get an 856, this customer sent me the 850, did I send all of those back to him? If you know the PO number, it will bring up all the documents associated with it. And again, that's a very handy feature if you're just trying to track down kind of the life cycle, if you will, of a particular document.
Just a couple other things on this. When you do a search, you get an acknowledgement back. If this has a little Y on it, you can click on that. It's a hyperlink, and you can actually see the 997.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have trading partners who said, oh, you didn't send me back the 997, but you really did send the 997. Instead of going into your application, your translator, and grabbing those 997s, you can then use this and say, search for PO or invoice such and such. It brings it up. You can hit the Y for the hyperlink. And then when you bring it up, you can say retransmit the 997. So you don't have to go to your translator and actually pull that down. Okay? A couple other things to elaborate on the change user. See, there's this column here. It says user right here. So let's say you have 3 or 4 people working on a particular issue. You're dealing with a big trading partner and something goes wrong and you've got to put a lot of people on it. You can then search and click a bunch of these things and then say change user, and you put Tom in there, and you can say, okay, then when it gets updated, in this actual field here, it'll say Tom, or I can say problem, or whatever you put. It will actually update tracker and put that value in that user column, and then it can become searchable. So you can search on it later on. If you're trying to work on a problem and you want to mark it, so you can go back to it later on, you can actually put whatever you want in that. Okay?
Another handy feature.
See if this works. Try, if you've got some other searches, you could put an asterisk there and put 810 on the document type. Hopefully it's set up correctly. And put an asterisk down with the PO thing. Now do a search. Well, we gotta turn the software flags on. You see how it puts the invoice numbers? This is test data here. Maybe it's over further away. Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
See, it has the columns for the PO and the invoice numbers in here. So if we set up everything, you'd see all the PO numbers and invoice numbers there when you do an 810 search. Okay.
What's the status? How?
Status is like you have a translation problem, or if it's an invalid document type, the control numbers don't match or the counts don't for some significant problem. So you rarely see any kind of problem there. You don't see that filled in, but if there was, that's what would be filled in.
So if the document fails, why it fails is there.
Right.
And that's an important thing to be aware of. We unfortunately had a user who sent us a huge IDW file via EDI that failed and didn't translate because the document was incomplete just because of an issue they had with their translator. So the document failed. Again, it was incomplete. And the status code, had the incomplete status in it. And then his update never got to the IDW, which was just not a good thing at all. But, as it turns out, if kind of in Tracker, tracking your documents on a regular basis and making sure that things are completing the way they should, that all of your documents are valid, complete, translated, acknowledged, that the message was there, they would have caught it. But, as it turns out, it was a document just conveying a big price change and didn't get there, so that was not good.
So what type of values
So-
would show up in the status? Incomplete, failed, what type of stuff would show up in the status?
In this case, the document was incomplete, or sometimes it's a duplicate interchange. If you're set up to not receive duplicate control numbers, they'll fail here, and then you'll see that message.
So it's not just a yes or no type thing? It's
No,
like
no,
yes.
I mean,
No,
it
there's
conveys.
actually a message that defines why it failed.
Yeah. So again, that's just a handy, and that's available in the basic search also, so you don't need to be in the advanced search to get that.
Can you click on the EDI hyperlink? So you can see the EDI document. You've probably seen it. It's a nice vertical presentation. Go to the bottom quickly.
Anything here, so okay.
Okay, so what we're thinking, what Barbara was saying, when you want to see human readable document, once you do here, there's a little button there that you could say click, and then it would render it as a human readable document. So you could then, if you wanted to see what that meant, and you didn't know every record, you could then kind of see what it got translated to. So that's how we're thinking of doing it.
Would that be in a text format?
It would be in a text format, yeah, right. And then you could also have the ability to see it in a hex. So right now you can't see it in hex, but if you wanted to see where your terminators are, it would then launch a program. You can then switch it to hex mode or HTML view, which is the human readable.
There used to be a shareware application out there. I think they now charge $100 for it. It's called Notepad.
Right.
Have you seen?
Yeah.
They do that. They'll show you like an HTML or an XML presentation.
Yeah, there's actually two versions. There's a pay-for version and a free version. And actually, one way we're thinking of doing that is having like a EDI thing where you click and it launches a program like that, and then you can view it. So you could have whatever your editor is, you can look at it. So that's a really nice program. Did everybody hear that? There's a thing called, what is it called, EDI Notepad?
Yeah, it's EDI Notepad. I think it's
Yeah.
now owned by a company called Liaison Technologies.
It
I
is.
think.
Yeah.
There's a free version, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is a free version.
It's still free.
It's a very useful
I
program.
thought they started charging for it, but maybe it's the pro version.
Yeah, it's the pro version. Good point.
So that's basically, again, just kind of taking a look at the advanced tracker function. Check when you get home. If you are not set up for the advanced tracker, let us know, and we can switch you over. Again, it's how if your EDI group is just very, very basic and just kind of knowing a yes/no answer is enough, then basic is fine. But advanced is certainly available. As usual, sender ID, receiver ID, you can key in document type, look for a specific control number, look for transport features. Again, this is a very rich tracking function available to you if you don't have it already, so
Barbara,
let
can you
us,
click on under where it says document ID, can you click on that hyperlink too? It's not many people know about that.
where are we?
Below document ID, top column. Can we do it?
Here.
Right here.
Oh, here, okay.
Right in there, yeah, click. So, this is a lot of details about the different, so like the in and outbound transport, like, you know, was going to a van or from a particular transport. It just has kind of the full detail of that transaction. So a lot of people don't know about that.
That's good.
Yeah.